In the last episode, I said the next one would show the way out, and that ending is coming. But before this series can end properly, there is one part of porn that cannot be skipped: what it does to women. This isn't a separate topic, this is part of the same system. So this episode exists for one reason: to complete the picture before we close the series. This episode is not about porn users. It's about the people who never chose it, but still live with its consequences. Women didn't ask for porn, yet it quietly entered their relationships, their bodies, their self-image, and their sense of safety. Not loudly, not violently, silently. Porn is often dependent with one sentence: it's private, it doesn't hurt anyone. That sentence collapses under reality. Because intimacy is not private, desire is not isolated. What trains the mind reshapes how it touches, looks, listens, and connects. Porn doesn't stay on screen, it walks into relationships. Porn trains the brain to evaluate bodies, not bond with humans. Slowly, without intention, attraction becomes comparison, intimacy becomes assessment. Closeness becomes performance. Women begin to feel watched instead of held, judged instead of desired, replaceable instead of chosen. Not because men want to hurt them, but because porn revives how desire works. Love needs presence. Porn trains consumption. Porn doesn't change expectations, it changes behavior. Intimacy becomes scripted, rushed, visual first, disconnected from emotion. Many women feel pressure to act instead of feel, look instead of connect, compete with fantasy. And when intimacy feels like acting, emotional safety disappears. What should be closeness starts to feel like evaluation. Porn creates infinite comparison, and comparison is poison to self-worth. Women begin to ask silently, am I enough? Am I exciting enough? Am I replaceable? Even confident women are not immune. Because comparison doesn't attack confidence, it attacks security. Porn introduces unreal standards, but the pain comes from something deeper. Being compared to something that doesn't feel, age, or exist. Porn rarely causes dramatic betrayal. It causes something worse: emotional absence. Women describe partners who are physically present, emotionally distant, easily irritated, mentally elsewhere. This creates confusion. He is here, but not with me. Why do I feel alone in a relationship? Porn trains the mind to escape instead of engage. That escape shows up as distance. Trust is built on transparency and presence. Porn introduces secrecy, private worlds, unshared desires, silent habits. Even without physical betrayal, women sense disconnection. And trust erodes not because of sex, but because of absence of honesty and attention. Here's the most painful part. Women often blame themselves. They think, if I were better, he wouldn't need this. If I were more exciting, more attractive, something must be wrong with me. Porn rarely destroys relationships openly. It slowly convinces women that they are not enough. This damage is invisible and deeply human. This is not about attacking men. This is about understanding conditioning. Men are trained to consume. Women are left to compete with fantasy. Both lose. Porn doesn't create intimacy problems. It normalizes disconnection. And disconnected people cannot build stable relationships. Over time, society sees more anxiety and intimacy, less emotional safety, more loneliness inside relationships, fear of vulnerability, confusion about love. Porn doesn't remove desire, it removes depth, and depth is where love lives. Porn isn't a private habit. It quietly reshapes how people look at each other, trust each other, touch each other, love each other. Women didn't consent to porn, but they live with its consequences every day. Until intimacy becomes human again, no relationship is untouched.